Hey, before you click off the video, or before you watch it, please watch it. I put a lot of effort into this, and it would mean a lot. So, anyway, let's get on with it. Hello, people of the internet. Today, we'll be talking about what if Titanic didn't sink? Anyway, let's get on with it. We all know the story of the Titanic. On April 14th to 15th, 1912, Titanic sank. But what if Titanic didn't sink? On April 14th, 1912, at 11:39 p.m. ship's time, Frederick Free and Reginald Lee, Titanic's lookouts, saw a dark mass in the distance. So, as normal for such kind of situation, they rang the bell 3 times and called down to the bridge. And First Officer Murdoch, at the same time, he also saw the dark mass ahead, and he ordered the ship hard to starboard, and the engines full astern. So Titanic began to turn, but it was this close. You can't see me, but it was almost too late. Titanic hit the mast, but by this point, it was known to be an iceberg. So right after, Murdoch ordered hard to starboard to try and port round it, and this maneuver was successful. So right after passing by the iceberg, the Titanic was stopped, and they, started heading down and to try and see what had happened. And so it was found that compartments, boiler room 6, cargo hold 3 and 2 were all flooded. So of course, 3 compartments in total. Which meant the ship was not going to sink, but Captain Smith still ordered that passengers be evacuated. So Titanic's Marconi Wireless operators Jack Phillips and Harold Bride were told to call for assistance, and around 5 a.m. the RMS Carpathia arrived and took on 1,000 of Titanic's 1,300 passengers. Around 6:30, Carpathia left to head to New York. At around 9:15, the SS Californian and the SS Mount Temple both arrived and took on the remaining 300. At 10 a.m., both of them started heading to New York. Titanic itself at 10:30 also started heading to New York, where she arrived on April 18th. She later departed on her second voyage after some minor repairs on April 22nd. But after that, there was no issues with Titanic's career. Nothing really happened. It was just kind of a bleak, bland career. Nothing too big. But on June 8th, 1914, the RMS Britannic entered service, which meant that the grand vision of 3 massive liners going across the Atlantic was finally complete. But that same month, on June 28th, Archduke Franz Ferdinand was shot and killed. And just a month later, on July 28th, 1914, World War I began. On August 4th, Britain joined the war, and in November of 1914, the Olympic, Titanic, and Britannic were laid up. But in January of 1915, Titanic re-entered service as a passenger ship until May 7th of 1915, when the RMS Lusitania sank in just 18 minutes. This brought up an issue. Ships didn't have enough lifeboats. But that didn't matter right now. Well, it did, but it didn't, because there's something something was going on. Because that the same month, Olympic, Titanic, and Britannic were requisitioned for service in the British government. And Olympic and Titanic were to be troop ships, and the Britannic was to be a hospital ship. And in September of 1915, Olympic and Titanic and Britannic entered service. Obviously, like I said, Olympic and Titanic as troop ships, and Britannic as a hospital ship. But after that, everything was, pun intended, smooth sailing. Until November 21st, 1916, when Britannic sank. So now it was just down to the Olympic and Titanic. But they can still continue service as troop ships, obviously, and in 1917, both of them got their own dazzle paint schemes. And they continued like this until the war ended on November 11th, 1918. From then to August 1919, Olympic and Titanic troops back from Europe. In August, both ships went to Belfast to be turned back into passenger ships. Olympic re-entered service on June 25th, 1920, and Titanic on July 11th. And on May 11th, 1922, a new running mate named RMS Majestic entered service. So now, Olympic and Titanic were in their golden years. The 1920s was uneventful for Titanic, at least until December 14th, 1928, when Titanic got hit by a rogue wave. Of course, Titanic was practically undamaged by this, but anyway. Titanic didn't have many issues, but unfortunately, a big issue came up. A little issue called unprofitable. Titanic became unprofitable. Titanic was completely unprofitable by late 1933. So, after one last voyage, Titanic was laid up on February 23rd, 1934. And Titanic was sold for scrap on June 14th. Sorry, my cat is being a dickhead, so ignore him. And on October 11th, 1936, Titanic was gone. So, yeah, that was a little story I came up with. I hope you like it. My next little story is going to be on the RMV Oceanic, so be excited for that. But anyway, that's it. See you soon.